come on in and have some tea with me. I've got my lukewarm green tea right here. We'll snuggle in on the couch together while I tell you the story about the time that I changed the road that I was on. My mom was diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer about 6 or 7 years ago. Pancreatic cancer is a tricky one to diagnose because the pancreas lies in the cavity of your body under other organs. So they have to open you up and spread you apart to see the pancreatic cancer. And by this time, it's usually too late. All they can usually do is send you home with a bottle of opiates and the phone number for hospice. So that's what happened. Coincidentally, at about the same time, maybe a couple months prior, I had gone to my chiropractor with severe knee pain. And she said, honey, I can't help you anymore. You have got to go to the medical marijuana doctor and get a prescription for cannabis oil. Your knees are shot. There's nothing more that I can do for you. So guess what? I do everything my chiropractor says. So here I go. I trot off to the medical marijuana doctor, Dr. Melka, and she hands me a little clipboard with symptoms. And on there is, guess what? A box that says insomnia. And check, I hadn't slept. I was probably about 47 at the time, and I hadn't slept for over 16 years after the birth of my oldest child. I would ride my bike 2 hours a day. I would hike. I would lift weights. I would do hard gardening only to lie in bed and have my eyes pop open like I just ate a bowl of wasabi. So I got to check this little box and go to the dispensary. And guess what? They gave me a little bottle of tincture. And at that time, the technology for tinctures wasn't great. It did happen to taste like licking the bottom of the ashtray. But guess what? I slept. For the first time in 16 years, I got a whole night's sleep. And nobody was more thankful than my family. I wasn't so crabby all the time anymore. It was amazing. So back to my mom with cancer. So she's diagnosed with cancer. And so I say, well, hey, let's take you to the medical marijuana doctor. Let's see what she can do for you. So we went, and Dr. Melka was very forthright. And she said, well, there's not much I can do for terminal pancreatic cancer, but we can mitigate it and make you a little bit more comfortable. So we went to the dispensary and we got her a few things. And that's when I thought, I'm a horticulturist. I'm an herbologist. Maybe I can make her a few things. But why was this plant off of my radar? Why? Well, I can tell you why. It all goes back to when I was 18, living in the dorms in college. My friend Marla says to me, hey, let's go to Kevin's room, smoke some bong hits, and listen to Stairway to Heaven. I'm like, woo, I'm in. I'm 18. I'm ready for every new experience possible. So here I am, laying in my beanbag chair, just digesting every note and word of Stairway to Heaven. Oh, I was enjoying myself so much. When I look over to the right, there was a couple on the bed practicing their reproductive biology lab, if you know what I'm saying. And guess what? I'm laying on the beanbag chair. And could I move? No. Did I want to move? Yes. To this day, I do not know how I got out of that dorm room. But I can tell you this. When I got out of the dorm room and went back to my dorm room, I was met by my roommate, Nancy, whose nickname happened to be Bong Queen. Our room always smelled like bong water. And in case you don't know what that smells like, think about it. A 20-year-old ashtray that's full to the brim with algae-filled water and cheap carpet. And maybe you might come close to the smell of bong water. And it was nasty. It was one of the most horrible smells known to man. So when I told Nancy about my new cannabis abstinence, guess what? Social pariah, check another one off of the bucket list. There we go. So I'm much more into other C drugs, like caffeine, the ones like Camellia sinensis and cafe and cacao, the ones where you use them and you can take a test the next day. I really appreciated those drugs. But I digress. We were talking about my mom. And so when my mom was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, there was time to change the road that I was on. I thought, I'm a herbalist. I'm a plant person. I'm going to grow and make her some medicine. And I did. So I was able to give her about 2.5 hours of pain-free, loopy-free, constipation-free time. She could read a book, watch a movie, have a conversation. It was beautiful. And she could take one whenever she wanted it. But my family members had other ideas. They didn't like this plant medicine delivery. And so they would take the medicine that I provided for her away from her, out of her bedside table, and replace it with a bottle of opiates. In the end, my mother did not die of pancreatic cancer. She died from an opiate overdose, which, if you've ever seen, doesn't look good. The person is gray, listless, limp. They can't talk. They slur their words. They have what's called a death rattle, this gurgling sound that comes out of their chest. But the one wonderful thing that happened was I was able to be with my mother as the piper called her home, and she climbed a golden staircase, bathed in white light. It was beautiful. It was magical. And I'm so glad that I got to be there. But after my mom's passing, I reflected and I thought to myself, I really like making this medicine for people. It's really empowering and wonderful. So I did that. I started growing and making medicine, and I sold it to a couple of dispensaries. And one day when I was at the dispensary right down the street from me, for vendor day, I was giving people samples of my tinctures and salves. She shook me by the collar and she said, please help me. You've got to help me. My doctor will only write me prescriptions for opiates. He won't listen to me. He won't talk to me. He just wants to write me a prescription and he just wants me gone. That's all he will do. So what could I do that day? What could I do? Slip her a couple of bottles of tincture under the table? That's all I could do. I thought about it later and I thought, well, what did I do? I gave her 2 weeks of pain relief, 3 weeks. She's on a fixed income. She can't buy this for herself. She's going to go back to the opiates. So then I decided at this point, I'm going to teach people how to grow and make their own medicine. I want to empower people to take care of themselves and to help their neighbors and to have their neighbors help their neighbors. I want to give people a fishing pole. And I've done that. I've helped people with MS. I've helped one woman that had severe brain lesions. And now she's walking and talking and just scattering all over the place. She's having the best time. I've helped people with rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, severe suicidal depression, anxiety, cancer, and the list goes on and on. This is magic stuff, guys. This is absolutely magic. One of my greatest hopes is that the piper will lead us to reason and a new day will dawn where there is no cannabis stigma and the forest will echo with laughter. Because cannabis, it just might heal what ails you.